I'm answering questions on Quora today about employers, side hustles, and more. Thank you for joining me today in another inspiring episode of Side Hustle Inspiration. When I answer questions from Quora, I typically put the image of the Quora question into the video editor and then use a voiceover as a means of answering the person's question. But today I had to do some running around, and well, I just figure maybe I can get out and answer some questions from Quora on video. So I am pleased and delighted to be here with you today and answering questions from Quora on the topic of employers, workplace employer harassment, employers harassing employees, and how you can turn that into a profitable side hustle. Now, I'm going to get started here. The questions that I have are in no particular order, so I'm just going to go. Most likely this video will be likely over an hour today, so until the battery on this camera runs out, I'm just going to keep going. So grab something to drink, make sure you got your food, sit and enjoy the show. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started now. And by the way, yesterday in the Christiana Mall video, you saw the homeboy version of me, even though I'm not wearing a tie. Today you're seeing the professional, the gentleman version of me. So thank you again for coming back. All right, let's get started. So today, first question says, what happens once a charge, I'm reading the question verbatim, but I know what the person means. What happens once a charge file is with the EEOC against an employer? So what this person really meant to ask in the question is, what happens once a charge is filed with the EEOC against an employer? This is an excellent question. I'm gonna speak from my personal experience on this. I was hired in October 2016 to work for part-time for a furniture retailer. I want to say employer, boss, one of the store managers who interviewed me and pushed toward getting me hired was a Jewish female. After I was hired, I started training. I brought up the fact that I'm pretty sure that I mentioned this during the interview, that I have church on Sunday. I do believe in the Lord Jesus Christ with no shame, and I don't care what people think. I do believe potentially that during the interview I may have, which I don't remember clearly, I may have potentially mentioned that I go to church on Sundays. I can't work on Sunday. However, I was hired, and shortly after I started training, I was sitting in my new female boss's office, the Jewish lady, doing the training on the computer. So I had mentioned something, and she slammed her hand on the table and was like, yelling. And I had just started the job, finish training or do something. I knew right then and there from Jump Street that this job wasn't going to last. I had to rock steady with the job because I didn't want to create bad feelings from the Jump Street. So I endured harassment from this female employer. Long story short, she ended up setting me up to get wrongfully terminated. But before I was set up to be terminated wrongfully, we had a sit-down argument conversation. I stood up for the Lord and told her that she was wrong, and I defended God. And prior to me being wrongfully terminated, I did go to the EEOC. I did fill out a complaint, and I was pulled in the office at the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. They took all of the information, and they did let me know that if you file this charge, you do risk getting fired. So I thought about it the last minute. I said, well, you know what? You keep the information on file and don't file the charge yet, but you can just keep the information on file. I already gave it to you. I ended up getting wrongfully terminated. She tried to force me to sign a contract to allow the company to search my vehicle. The thing that I was thinking was they're going to plant a weapon in my vehicle and say that I'm threatening my employer, and I'm going to end up wrongfully going to prison. So after I was wrongfully terminated, most likely, allegedly, likely because of her, I did go back to the EEOC and I filed a charge against the company. I did not have a lawyer. I really honestly did not know what I was doing, and they told me really and truly I don't need a lawyer. So after I filed the charge, I got a response almost 4 years later. To me, it seemed like the Department of Labor had went along with the employer to help them fizzle out the case, to sweep it under the rug. So in my case, nothing was done to her. Nothing was done to the company. That's just my personal situation. If you want to file a charge with the EEOC against your employer, by all means do it. But be mindful that when you file your charge, make sure you have all of your documentation intact. And if you do have your documentation intact in terms of the dates and the times of your employer offending you, what you do is you start a blog. Get your own domain name, visit the link right there for getting paid web hosting, and start blogging about what you had to endure on your job. But before you start blogging, do not, I don't care if they set you up, if they gave you death threats, do not drop the name of the company nor your employer's name in the blog post. And do not put your personal name or a picture of yourself in the blog. The purpose of you documenting in blog posts is to raise awareness of employee workplace harassment. It's also a way to keep open documentation, an edited open documentation of your occurrences between you and your employer offending you. The open documentation should be finely edited. And what do I mean by that? No names, no company names, no hints at so-and-so. Don't do that, because then it gets ugly. It could get into a slander and libel lawsuit. It could get really get ugly. A company can put out hitmen to silence you, okay? And then that's a harder issue to overcome. You just don't know how a company will secretly retaliate against that if you drop names and the company name. Just don't do it. When you finally edit your blogs and do your open documentation, you can put the dates and the times. That's fine. Again, it's open documentation, and another reason why you're blogging the occurrences is to build up the content of your blog. You're also going to benefit from this employee EEOC charge that you filed by using it as content for your blog to build up, to build up your side hustle. Your side hustle. You're using adversity to create subliminal financial opportunity. When you blog about this consistently and then you raise awareness about it and share it on social media and Pinterest and share it through email, people are going to comment on this and say, I've been through something like this similar too. So when people leave comments on your blog posts talking about your workplace harassment from your employer and how you had to file a charge against your employer, the people that are leaving blog comments are adding to the rich content of your blog. The end result of that is improved search engine rankings. And the more people that join in on the conversation, the better your search engine rankings improves. Now, if your blog is monetized, Yes, sir. If your blog is monetized with advertisements from Google AdSense and affiliate networks, this is where the beauty of profiting from your narcissist current or former employer comes in. People adhere to the advertisements on your blog, and this is where the beauty of making money comes in from your employer's ignorance. Your blog is running 24 hours a day. And because people come from all corners of the internet 24 hours a day looking for all kinds of things in search engines and clicking on links to blogs, articles, web pages from social networks and Pinterest, you increase the probability of your open documentation of your current or former employer's nonsense. You open the probability of making money online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The more you blog about your employer's occurrences and this EEOC charge that you filed against your employer, the more people are going to be neutral feeling and come out and speak that, you know what, my employer's been doing this, my employer's been doing that to me. And people are going to start leaving more comments, and more comments improves your natural search engine rankings. The Google algorithm, the Yahoo, the Bing algorithm, the DuckDuckGo algorithms, they all notice this. As a result of people leaving more comments, the algorithms, the search engine crawlers will bump you up in search engine results pages. That gives you more traffic and in turn converts to more ad revenue. So once a charge is filed with the EEOC against an employer, there is a waiting period. Whatever it is, 6 months, a year. In my case, it took over 3 years to get an end result response. I did get little notifications here and there in the mail before this 3-year thing, before I said the 3-year thing, or 3.5-year thing was done and fizzled out, that they were still looking into this, they were still doing this and still doing that, but were they really doing it? I doubt it. So in my case, the EEOC did nothing. The employer got away. But what I'm telling you is an alternative solution to overcoming your employer, besides filing an EEOC charge, is to be mindful. Number one, document your employer, whether it's with a voice recorder inside of your jacket, your sport coat, your jacket pocket, or having a piece of paper in your pocket with a pen and writing down the dates and times. If you have to sneak in the bathroom and write down what your employer said or did, do that. Write down the date, the exact time, and what the employer did. So this way, when you get home, you can organize your documentation of what your employer is saying or doing wrongfully to you. But in terms of hoping and wishing upon a star that the EEOC will follow where you are and do something for you, unless you have a lawyer, the EEOC is likely not going to do anything. So take your employer's nonsense, edit it before you put it on the internet, use it in a blog, publish a blog. And another way that you can profit off of your employer, make YouTube videos and offer tips for overcoming certain things in the workplace. When your employer says this, be quiet. When your employer does that, document them. You can make YouTube videos and help other people to overcome workplace related issues without dropping the company's name or employer. Never, never, never do that, because you don't never want to think that company is going to put out a hitman to get you. All right. So hopefully that answers that question. All right. Moving forward. Next question says, I have a few questions here. And by the way, I am using the GoPro Max Lens mod today. It is working fantastic. I'm glad I made the investment and got it. All right, moving forward. The next question says, my boss throws pennies at me. What? My boss throws pennies at me, and calls me a Jew. Is this a normal work environment in America? This is question number 2, by the way. First off, that's assault. You need to call law enforcement and really press charges. Even though they threw money at you, that's assault. That's a felony. That's a felony. You need to press charges. Before you press charges, if your employer does this continually to you, first off, to me, that's a form of racism. Even though my female former boss, who is Jewish, set me up for wrongful termination, I do not hate Jewish people. That's her personal actions, her personal conviction, that's her personal heart that did that. Not all Jewish people are bad. So do I hold that against the whole Jewish race? Absolutely not. Any employer who picks on an employee because they're Jewish, that's a racist. You need to document that employer, every occurrence that they throw pennies at you, dates, times, and you need to, while you are employed, you need to go to a lawyer, you need to go to your local police department and press charges, because that is a felony. Assault is a felony. I don't care if it's nickels, dimes, I don't care if they throw a $100 bill at you. Assault is assault. It's a felony. Press charges. And you also need to sue the company and file a charge with the EEOC. You need to get that employer across the board legally. Get them. Throws pennies at me and the employer calls you a Jew? That's racism. Why do you tolerate that? And I'm trying to see when this person posted this question. I don't see that. I don't see a date on here. But anytime that your employer calls you by your specific race, you Jewish so-and-so, or you black high yellow so-and-so, you look bright as the sun or something, that's racism. In a place of employment, there is a fine line between an employer, what they should say and what they shouldn't say. And that's also an HR issue. Now, likely, if you go to HR first, HR is not going to do anything. Remember, HR is for the company. They're literally not going to do anything. They may tell them to stop, but they're not going to follow up with you 9 times out of 10. They may or may not. But you need to avoid going to HR. You need to document. You need to go to your local police department, file a police report, press charges, because it is a felony. That's a felony for someone to throw something at you. That's assault. Felony. F-E-L-O-N-Y. Then you need to press charges against the company, because they likely know what's going on and they're not doing anything. Or did I say press charges? I meant file a lawsuit. So you need to file a lawsuit against the company. You need to file a personal lawsuit against the person who is doing this to you, your boss, employer, whoever it is. So that's 2 lawsuits. You need to file an EEOC, and you need to get yourself a high price conceited lawyer. Yes, I said conceited lawyer, because this conceited lawyer will actually push for you to get a settlement out of court, because if your documentation and everything is intact, then the conceited lawyer is going to be very high-minded, to the point whereas, look, not only will I push this matter in court, I will take it to the news networks. We will have a sit down, and I'm just surmising, we'll have a sit down with Bloomberg Television, and we'll just spill our guts. We'll go to NBC, we'll go to Bloomberg, we'll go to CNN on H Street in Washington, D.C., across the street from the government publishing office. We'll walk in the building and sit down, and we'll spill our guts. You don't want us to say nothing, do you? Fork over the guap. 9 times out of 10, the company will kowtow. So do as I say. Document. Go to the police station. File a police report. Press charges against your boss file a lawsuit against the boss, file a lawsuit against the company, go to the EEOC, file a charge. Do not let them get away, because you need to keep another paycheck coming in. If you've been on a job for more than 6 months, you are entitled to unemployment. And even if you get terminated, you can take part of your unemployment money and start a side hustle on the internet. Start blogging about what's going on your job. Again, as I previously stated in question number 1, do not, under any circumstances, despite that your employer may have called you a Jew and threw pennies at you, do not drop the company's name or employer's name in a blog post, and do not talking about any charges. Don't talk about a felony. Don't talk about you're going to be suing the company. Don't, because you don't know if that company has foot soldiers scouring the web looking for anything legally related to them. So just don't do it. Leave your name off the blog, leave your face off the blog. And if you decide to go on YouTube, you can do image YouTube videos, or just something that just doesn't have your face on it. All right, so hopefully that answers your question. But most importantly, start a blog. Even if you get fired, take your unemployment money and start a blog, because you want to take an employer's negativity and you want to profit off of it. No employer, current or former, wants to know that the employee that they harassed for religious or racial reasons is using their negativity to become a side hustle online millionaire in the near future. That would heap coals upon their minds. All right, hopefully that answers your question. All right, next question says, what do employers or HR do to harass employees to quit the job rather than fire them? How should employees handle this harassment? That's an excellent question. I'm going to give you, when I worked in furniture retail back in 2016, 2017, I was telling you I was harassed by my female boss, who is Jewish. When I declared my religion, that I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ with no shame, in which I do, and I don't care what people think, I don't care if it costs me my job. The employer was doing things and I was documenting it, and I will share some of that documentation in future videos, because I do have legal written documentation, and I also have audio documentation of this former employer of mine. She's now a real estate agent. She left the company because I guess she thought I was going to file a multi-million-dollar suit against her. But what she doesn't know is she got to give an account to God for what she did and said to me. I am to do nothing and walk away and move on with my life. She got to give an account to him, because the words that came out of her mouth were against the Lord thy God. And let me tell you, when you cross the Lord and you're not sorry, you will give an account, like it or not. Moving forward. Again, let me read this question. Again, what do employers or HR do to harass employees to quit the job rather than fire them? How should employees handle this harassment? In my case, back in 2017, the woman harassed me. She said things to me. At one point in time, she threatened me. She said specifically, these are her exact words, "If you ever tell on me." That is exactly what she said. Let me say this again. She said, quote unquote, "If you ever tell on me." That's what she said. That's a threat. Even though she didn't say what she was going to do or how she was going to react, that is a threat. At the time, did I go to the police? No. I should have, but I didn't. She comes from a wealthy family, and her alleged wealthy family allegedly had TV commercials running back in the 1980s. And I'm not going to say what kind of TV commercials they were, or her name, or her whatever. I'm still not going to do that, even though she set me up. I'm not going there. But something just, I guess a thought came to me, or just a feeling, leave it alone. Because It's God's fight, and nobody wins against the Lord thy God. Nobody, nobody, nobody. Just remember, if you're an employer watching this video and you do an employee wrong, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, in so many words, the Bible says, in so many words, I'm not saying that the Bible says this verbatim, but I'm saying in so many words, the Bible depicts this message. What you do to the Lord's least, meaning the least person, what you do to his least, you are doing unto him. And you, the employer, you will give an account to God. You cannot escape. Yes, you will. I don't care who you are. You will give an account. If you repent for your actions and you truly mean it from your heart, and you seek the Lord thy God for forgiveness and for your soul to be saved, you can get out of it. But because I had announced religion on my job back in 2017, and I was a peculiar person, they did have a sit down, and one of the store managers urged me to quit the job. She did tell me to quit. Why don't you, I don't remember how exactly she said, why don't you just quit, or why don't you just quit, something like that. I'm not quitting my job. If I quit, I don't get my unemployment. If you fire me, I get my unemployment, plus I get to sue you. Ooh, paper's moving. Excuse me. So this is, just want to keep myself organized. This is question number 3. So another thing that employers do is they will sit back and admire your hard work on a job, but they won't, excuse me one second here. Okay, they will admire your hard work, they will acknowledge it, respect it, and thank you for it, but they won't give you the pay raise you deserve. Let me give you a scenario. I worked on this furniture retail part-time job back in 2017. I had made the company over $100,000 in sales, roughly towards the end of my part-time job before I was wrongfully terminated. On paper, it was documented that I generated a little over $171,000 in sales. So really, I was into sales and marketing, and I still am. I have a 3.5 GPA and I have a degree in marketing from Wilmington University. I love what I do. I generated nearly $175,000 in sales. But prior to me being wrongfully terminated, I did ask for a pay raise. My former female Jewish boss at the time, when I first requested a pay raise, then she turned around and lied to me and said, I went to bat for you. What you talking about, Willis? You went to bat for me? What are you talking about?
I went to bat for you.
Okay, how much? 25 cents. I went from making $10 an hour, a can of beans, to an extra spoon. And here I am, I'm getting ready to finish up my degree. So now, with the raise, I'm making $10.25 an hour. This is the thanks I get. Folks, do you see why now I made this channel for working people? Because there is no job security working for anyone. There's no job security, even with a college degree. If a person feels some kind of way about you, they're going to do what they can to get you to quit the job or fire you. So this is another thing that employers do to get you to quit. They sit back and watch you make all the money for the company, and then they give you a can of beans for a pay raise. That's another way that they get you to feel less about yourself, so you'll just give up, quit. If you quit, they win, because now you threw yourself off the job. They don't owe you anything. You see, you gave up. It's best to let the company fire you. And getting fired is a better look on a resume versus quitting. And also, if you get fired, you're definitely entitled. As long as you've been on the job for over 6 months, you are entitled to unemployment benefits. Even if the unemployment is $50 a week, you're still entitled to unemployment. Let them fire you. Don't quit the job. If it gets too great, make the determination. Be sure to be wise in your judgment. If you've been on that job less than 6 months and a whole lot of too many shenanigans is going on, use your best judgment. Maybe it might be best for you to quit that job, but be mindful to try to have something else lined up before you throw it in the hat and just say, I quit. They're not over there playing chess anymore. Another thing bosses and employers do to get you to quit the job is they will bombard you with tons of work, or they will give you less than ample training and then expect you to do so much at once, and then they expect you to know everything when you've been on the job for less than 90 days. Give you a quick scenario. I had a past work from home job. Why is that dog sitting there looking at me? No, you're not getting on camera. Keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving. Every time I pull out a camera, somebody got to stand around, watch me. If it ain't the people, it's the dogs. Whew, everybody wants to be around. I got a camera out. Lord have mercy. So, you could be on a job. In my situation, I had a past work from home job working remotely, and I wasn't even on the job for 90 days. We went into this little house up in Wayne, Pennsylvania. We trained for a while. It was, they say 6 weeks. Maybe it was 6 weeks or close to it. I don't know. But I don't feel I had really clear and cut training. So we're working through this, this management system called Nautilus. And one day a customer calls in, and the customer wants me to give them a breakdown of cash deposits. So I don't know exactly which system to look through. I kept paging my team leader, and I felt like he was allegedly on purpose, allegedly on purpose ignoring me sometimes or delaying his response. So I'm asking this, the customer's asking me to give them a breakdown of cash deposits on what dates or whatever. I need help with this stuff. I'm new on the job. I haven't even been onboarded for 90 days. And, at times I just felt like it was just a bit too much. They want me to do this. They want me to do that. And the pay was satisfactory. It was. Even though I wanted more money, I took the job hoping that I could get my foot in the door and grow with the company. Well, unfortunately, the job didn't work out. I felt bombarded with work. So that is another way employers will put stuff on you. They will bombard you with work. They will expect you to know too much at once before your 90-day onboarding is up. They will expect you to know the ins and outs of all of it and do the job perfectly or close to perfect. And if you don't, they will jump on you. Well, this, that, and the third. Well, I told you how to do this, and I showed you how to do that. And the tone of the voice is a clear giveaway that, you know what, I just really don't feel that this is for me. They really don't want me here. So that is another way that a team leader or a boss or an employer will get on you to quit the job. And they're actually looking forward to it by allegedly ignoring you on purpose. When you really need their assistance, when you need them to respond right away, they will allegedly keep ignoring you. Whether it's your you send your team leader a cell phone text message and the team leader ignores you, and when you send another cell phone text message and the team leader ignores you, but then the team leader calls you when they want you to attend a meeting, they know how to call you and they expect you to pick up the phone right away. They know how to do that, but they also ignore you on the flip side. That's another indication that they want you to quit the job. How should employees handle this? Document everything. Document how you feel. Document, okay, I feel like my team leader is purposely ignoring me. Write your feelings down. You're not sharing it with anyone. You're just documenting it. And then as you go through these similar experiences going forward on future jobs, then you can create a YouTube channel, you can create a blog, and you can profit from it by sharing your tips in YouTube videos. When employers do this and they say this and they ignore you, you know that's a red flag. It's time to start your own business. You can also do that in a blog. Write that in a blog. Monetize your blogs with AdSense. Monetize your blogs with affiliate programs. Monetize your blog with ads, because there's millions of dollars to be made on the internet. And the more, I cannot stress this enough, the more content you publish to your blog about your workplace experiences, your life experiences, the more free traffic you generate from search engines. This is one of many creative ways, to become less dependent on a job and to start the ball rolling in generating a secondary healthy stream of passive income. Because what your employer is not thinking about on the flip side is their negative actions may be fueling you to become more entrepreneurially minded. And with that said, every occurrence of, man, he done ignored me today, man, I needed help on this Nautilus system finding these cash transactions, and I keep messaging Microsoft Teams and I feel ignoring me on purpose. You're writing these feelings down, but you're doing it in a rough draft mode, maybe in Google Docs, maybe in a Microsoft Word document. And then before you publish the final edit, you're going to proofread everything. You're going to make sure that you make all the necessary corrections, add more content where it's needed, and offer helpful tips underneath where you listed, I feel he ignored me. Well, folks, you know, if you're going through this on your job, you know, do this in advance. A, B, C, D. List all of that. List all of that in a blog post. The more content you have, the more likely people are going to give you free advertising by sharing that blog on Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, LinkedIn, Reddit, Dig. I mean, people are going to share that content without you asking them to do so. The more free advertising your blog gets, the more you move up in search engines, the more money you make from ads on your blog. I hope that this answer is the solution to this question. Okay, so that's question, excuse me, getting a little windy out here. That's question number 3 now. We're gonna move on to the next one here. Bear with me one moment. Okay, moving on to question number 4. All right. Okay, let's just make sure this is good. Okay. Question number 4 says, the company I am working for is harassing and keeps doing underhanded moves to try to upset me or get me to react. I've been through this more than once on more than one job. Lord have mercy. To get me to react, but I see right through them. They ain't nothing more than a Tybo Glass Joe. That's right, a Tybo Glass Joe, you heard? Is this a form of employment harassment? And if so, what are my options? Your option is you need to develop an exit stage left plan for starting your side hustle. Do not, under no circumstances, do not quit the job. Do not quit that job. They want you to quit. They want you to quit because they're not going to have to give you anything under the law. If they fire you, if they do a Donald Trump, you're fired. They have to give you unemployment. And if you've been on that job for years, your unemployment is going to be nearly the max. The max, I believe, is $600 a week before taxes. If you quit, you get donuts. You get nothing. So the question again says, the company I am working for is harassing and keeps doing underhanded moves to try to upset me, to get me to react, but I see right through them. Is this a form of employment harassment, and if so, what are my options? Yes, it absolutely is a form of harassment. You need to document. You need to document on paper, if possible. If you can, go on Amazon and look for a portable pint-size voice recorder. It can easily fit in your jacket pocket. It should be no more than $100. Some are less than 75 bucks. And some voice recorders can run with a fully charged rechargeable battery, or a fresh AA battery, or a fresh pair of AA batteries. Some voice recorders can potentially record straight up to between 12 to 20 hours. So if you wear a sport coat to work, or if you wear a jacket or something, keep it on. And before you go to work, test the voice recorder to make sure that it's picking up everything. Number one, you need to test the voice recorder to see how much audio does it clearly pick up from a certain distance without a microphone. Yes, I am talking about wearing a wire. Wear a wire. You know what you do? You take the wire, you tape it to your arm, inside your shirt, tape it right up, right here, and then you have on a long sleeve shirt. You don't go into the job telling the employer you're recording them, because you just don't do that. You're going to be bringing a whole lot of problems. Like I said, a lot of companies have under the table hitmen. You don't want to even give them the hint that you are recording them. Don't go there. Don't go there. You're going to put yourself in a lot of physical danger. And they could set you up and falsely accuse you and call the cops and say you threatened them. Telling your employer you record them is a no-no. Let them continue doing it, but in the meantime, get yourself a voice recorder, wear a wire to work. So when you're documenting through audio, you're also documenting on paper. And if it comes down to the wire, where you have to sue them and then sue the company, you automatically have on video, well, my employer said this. When they go to lie, because employers do lie, employers lie. When they go to lie and say, I didn't do that, I didn't say that, you have it on audio. You can say, well, what's this? What's that? They might be inadmissible. Your voice recording might be inadmissible in court based on that state's laws concerning recording your employee. You have to check your local state laws, because you just have to check that. But again, you're recording your employer to have audio documentation for yourself. But you don't go in there telling an employer, I'm recording you. Oh, no. Heck no. You don't do that. No, sir. No, sir. When they do underhanded moves, blurt something out. Why did you just do that? Because then you have that exact occurrence right there on audio. Why did you just touch me on my side? That felt like a sexual gesture. Why did you just do that? Why did you just do that? And when the employer reacts and says, I didn't do nothing, they may sometimes slip up and say, well, I just wanted you to move. I just wanted you to move. That right there is an indirect subliminal admission of guilt, that employer allegedly did do that. They may slip up and just admit it when they think they can do something to you physically and no one's around to witness it. Then guess what? You have that indirect subliminal admission on audio. And that can likely be used in a court of law in a multi-million-dollar lawsuit, even if no one else was around to witness them. Then, if you corner them with that, then you can ask them, why did you say that if you didn't do it? They're not going to have an explanation. They're just caught, red-handed, on audio, caught. Another thing you need to do, like I said in question 1, 2, and 3, start blogging. Start blogging. Do not drop the name of the employer. Don't put your name, don't put your face, nor the company name in the blog. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. That runs into a nasty legal issue. You can blog about it in the ways that you're using the documentation to make money from ads. And employers would hate that. You're using what I did wrong to you to make money. They're gonna feel stupid, man. This is why I'm telling you, do not tell an employer to stop bothering you, because the more that they do it, it's more content for your blog. Are you getting what I'm trying to tell you? You can become a millionaire online off of blogging about your employer's stupidity. But by no means, if you've been on a job more than 6 months, don't quit your job, because you know what? Your employer is not thinking about. Your employer is making you really, really rich. Really, really rich.
Really rich.
Am I right, I say? Are you listening? So be thankful your employer is doing the stupid stuff to you. And thankfully, no one is sneaking up on me. I don't have any dogs around, so now I feel a little bit of privacy. I can stretch out like I want, and I ain't got to worry about, why you sitting over there looking at me? What's this one over there for? Oh, that one over there just want to be around because I got a camera. I ain't got to worry about all of that. Whew. I got sunshine on a cloudy day, and it is a little cloudy today. But I hope that this answers your question. What are your options? Number one, start a blog, document your employer, leave your employer's name, the company name out, monetize the blog with ads. Number two, do not react to your employer. They are looking forward to you acting out so they can call the cops. So even though they're doing you wrong, they're still setting you up to make you look like the bad guy, so you can take the fall and they can sit back and high five. We got him. We got him. We got him. And then they can wrongfully terminate your employment. And then that's you looking like a fool. Don't react. You know, a lot is said when you're not saying anything in reaction. Let your words be few. Get very quiet. And as this continually goes on your job, you know what you do? You come to your job dressed up. Start dressing like the CEO of the company, because then they have no choice but to talk to you a certain way. They have no choice but to treat you a certain way. You command respect. You command a specific type of attention when you have this on. As a man, especially when you have a tie on. I didn't feel like putting on a tie today, but I know most occasions now I don't get dressed up because I don't work a full-time job. I do this. And just because I put this on today, certain people were treating me with a certain type of respect. Even one gentleman at the gas pump says, "Oh, you look like you're going somewhere important, or going somewhere, or going to your job, or something like that today." I said, "No, I'm a YouTuber." I said, "I'm going to make YouTube videos. I talk about side hustles, but I just felt like putting this on today and, you know, getting dressed up a little bit." But I didn't even know the guy. He was a complete stranger. But because I had this on, he took it upon himself to talk to me, to open himself and start a conversation. Not only that, show a certain level of respect because of my image. I have this on, and you know, I look like I'm going somewhere ready to do business. So change your image, dress different, act different, and when you keep this closed most times, let your words be few, people, your coworkers, your employer, they start to wonder what's going on up here. What makes him tick? What is he thinking? Then the nature of the conversation changes. And don't be surprised if the employer harassment finally ceases. Okay? And lastly, your last option is talk to a lawyer, because if it comes down to the wire, you're gonna have to file $1 million lawsuit against the company. I always urge people now, go to a lawyer, and also look into getting community legal aid. If you can't afford a lawyer, also look into community legal aid, a pro bono lawyer who will take up the case for you. because if a pro bono lawyer takes up the case for you in terms of using that case to build their reputation, you best to believe they will do an exceptionally great job at winning the lawsuit for you and getting you a decent settlement. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. Moving on to question number 5. Okay, so we'll have a lot of questions here, a lot of questions. Okay, this is question number 5. Why would an employer harass an employee on purpose for over a year and then, let's see, hold on a second, got to make sure this is okay. So we're still recording at almost 51 minutes. Great. Question number 5 says, why would an employer harass an employee on purpose for over a year and then stop suddenly for a few weeks and then start again out of the blue? Because they're a narcissist. They probably wanted to give themselves some rest. Maybe because you're not giving them the reaction that they're looking for. But as I mentioned in question 1, 2, 3, and 4, you need to blog as a form of open documentation on every employer offending occurrence. Using your employer's offenses can be a very profitable side hustle. It can really make you a lot of money. And yes, it can make you really, really rich. If they keep it up continually for over the year, if they start up again and do it, do not tell them to stop. And don't tell them you're blogging about it. Let them do it. You shut up and you do your job until they finally say, you're fired. Just do your job. Okay. Why would an employer ask all of his employees to harass someone to get them to quit? Plenty of reasons. The way you dress, the way you act, maybe, I don't know, they got something, a personal vendetta against you. They don't like that you're claiming religion on the job. You seem like someone that others would look at possibly in a respectful light, a person that would be a threat to that employer's employment. Perhaps you are someone that's a threat that can potentially go further than them in company advancement. So they want to cast you in a negative light before other employees and other management personnel, that you are the bad person, and pit other people against you. It's called workplace enmity. Just like family members, family members, my aunt allegedly created enmity in my family. I am banned from my family. My entire family is against me. Virtually my entire family. Now when I see them in the street, I don't say nothing. I keep walking. The same thing happens in the workplace. Employers allegedly use other management personnel, other bosses, and co-workers, other employees, to pit them against the peculiar person as a means of pressuring that person to quit, or having that person seen in a negative light and they get fired. It happens all the time. Why would an employer do this? Because they want to feel superior. They want to be the bully. They want to be the boss narcissist. Yeah, I'm the boss. I'm a narcissist. I know I'm a narcissist, and I'm the boss, and what I say and do goes. They want to be in control. They want to feel supreme. They don't want nobody thinking different. They don't want nobody getting out of line. They don't want nobody cramping their image, their style. You might be a needle in the haystack. You might be the one that, I just don't like that person's presence. I just don't like them. You may have not even done or said anything to the employer offensively. You're just being your natural self. They just don't like you for you. But you know what it is? It's the employer's inner spirit. It's spirits. It's called spiritual warfare. You know anything about that? Spiritual warfare. I don't like that person because I just don't like to know. It's more to it than that. It's a person's inner spirit that's picking up on your spirit. And an employer don't like you. They're going to be a narcissist. They're going to try to get others to feel the same way about you. So they pit them against you. Because you know what them other people is thinking about? Man, I need to keep my job. Man, I better do what my employer tell me to do, even though I know it's wrong. Ain't nobody going to do nothing to me. Guess what? You got a guard to give an account to. If you go along with an employer and you allow that employer to pit you against a coworker that ain't done nothing to you, and you actually go through with that, you're gonna give an account to God. Because you know what that falls under also? I believe that possibly falls under respect a person. Yep. And remember, what you do to his least, by going along with an employer and being pitted against that person to pressure them to quit or to get that person fired, what you're doing to that person, you're doing to the Lord, and you will give an account for that. Pitting yourself against someone that ain't done nothing to you because the employer or the boss told you to do it, you in just as much trouble as that boss or employer is. You're in trouble with him. That's real talk. But yeah, why would an employer do that? They don't want you around. So when you feel like the employer doesn't want you around, that's a red flag. You need to start a side hustle. You need to really get that side hustle going, because starting your own business will liberate you from the workplace nonsense. Going through it and enduring it and all of the emotions, it is tough. I know all about it. That's why I can get on video and talk about this stuff. I've been through it. I'm not talking about stuff that I don't know nothing about. I've been through this stuff. I've been set up. I've been called a weirdo. I've been threatened by an employer. I've been wrongfully terminated. One employer wanted to try to force me to sign a contract to set me up to go to prison. Because I didn't sign the contract and I didn't allow the employer to do that, I was set up and I was terminated wrongfully and embarrassed, and I was humiliated in front of people and threatened to leave the store or else they was going to call law enforcement on me. The HR generalist came up, drove up I-95 or wherever highway from Virginia to come into the store and fire me. Folks, listen to me. No employer wants to know you became a millionaire off of them. Start a side hustle. Don't wait for the EEOC to take action, because they're going to take their sweet time. Consult a lawyer, press charges against the person or the company if needed, file a lawsuit with a paid or a community legal aid lawyer under the pretense of workplace harassment. You're being harassed by the company, your employer, your boss, or whoever. But make sure you document everything: the employer's name, the time of the occurrence, and be specific in detail. Wear a wire if necessary. Wear a wire. Bring your voice recorder. Wear a wire. If you feel that you need to wear a wire to capture that sensitive audio, wear a wire. Have a long sleeve shirt on, wear a sport coat or some kind of coat over it, but make sure the tip of that microphone is right here on your wrist, but not visible to the point they can see that you're wearing a wire. But the tip of that wire, where the mic is, that's the part that needs to capture that audio. Make sure there's nothing blocking it. All right? Hopefully that answers that question. Moving on to the next one. Let's see. Wow, I'm up to 59 minutes and 40 seconds. 41, 42. I'm doing great. This is going on an hour now. I feel blessed. Second video I'm making that's going to be over 1 hour long. Okay. Question number 6. 57, 58, 59. All right. Made it to an hour. Thank you, Lord. All right. Still going. And I still got battery juice left. All right. Shout out to GoPro. All right. Thank you for the camera replacements. Going fantastic. Okay, this question, this is not workplace related, but this question says, does a WordPress.com subdomain make my business look bad? Yes. I have never known blogs on WordPress.com. See, there's two sides to WordPress. There's WordPress.com, where you can start a free blog on WordPress.com and blog away, but I don't know that WordPress.com allows free blogs to install Google AdSense or ads from affiliate ad networks. So I've never known that, and I highly doubt that you can make money from those. So I'm really against blogging on WordPress.com. To me, let me read this question again. Does a WordPress.com subdomain make my business look bad? Yes. People are not going to take your business seriously. That's number one. Number two, you're blogging on WordPress.com, and WordPress.com is controlled by WordPress.com. So WordPress.com, and this has happened to me many times before. Excuse me one second. WordPress.com can delete your blog for any reason or no reason. It has happened to me. So blogging on WordPress.com to me is not worth it. What's worth it is purchasing a small business dedicated server and your own domain name, and asking your web hosting provider to install a self-hosted version of WordPress onto your small business dedicated server. The benefit of this is you have 100% complete administrative functionality. So you can install ads, you can install customized WordPress templates, you can install as many WordPress plugins as you want to enhance the functionality of your self-hosted WordPress blog, and you cannot be deleted because you're paying for the small business dedicated web hosting service. Excuse me. Because you're paying for it, the only way that you can get deleted, if you threaten the President of the United States, or if you threaten a government official, or if let me see how you can get that. Oh, or if you don't pay your web hosting bill, then yes, you can get deleted. Actually, your server can be subpoenaed by the federal government if you make a threat to the President of the United States. And the feds can actually take over your server, they can take over your site, and they can take your domain and then lock you up. That's if you make a threat. So you don't want to even go there with that. But 9 times out of 10, you're not that stupid or foolish to do that. As long as you don't do that, as long as you pay your hosting bill, you cannot be deleted, okay? Having your own domain name is more respectful. It commands respect from the people that are reading your blog. A lot of people that read your blog, that see that you have your own domain name, those are the people that are likely to be classified as returning visitors. So it is better to fork out the money, get your own domain name, visit the link in the YouTube video description to get started on your small business dedicated paid server and having a self-hosted version of WordPress installed on it. Do not blog on WordPress.com. If you don't have that content backed up in a Microsoft Word document or a Google Docs document, and they delete your blog, all of that hard-written content is gone. You have to start over from scratch. And that is so painful as a blogger, especially if you used WordPress.com for like 2 or 3 years and you just kept going and you didn't save or back up any of that content into a MySQL or an SQL database and export the dumped files onto your desktop or somewhere externally or onto a flash drive. You don't have that content backed up. Man, you got to start over. And that is painful. especially if you publish some blogs over 2,000 and 3,000 words. I mean, collectively expressing yourself. I mean, in descriptive detail with images and just pouring out your emotions in these blogs, and you don't have your stuff backed up, man, you are, what they say, you are up the creek, buddy. You got to start over. So yeah, having a WordPress.com subdomain does make your business look bad. Don't be a cheapskate. Get the paid hosting, pay for a domain name. Make sure when you invest in a domain name and a small business dedicated server, be mindful, pay 2 and 3 years ahead of time. So this way you have a peace of mind knowing I don't have to pay that bill until another 2 to 3 years from now. I can get in that tunnel vision, that horse tunnel vision mindset, and I can create content. I can just focus on that and I can just go all the way in. Hopefully that answers your question. That's question number 6. Going on to question number 7 now. Let me flip the page here. All right. I have a lot of questions here and the battery is running out, so I think this is going to be the last one. This one says, how do I teach my employer a lesson with the stolen source code? I have stolen their entire software source code. My employer harassed me, so I want to take revenge. First of all, you're a thief. If you do what others do unto you, you are just as wrong as them. You said in this question, I have stolen their entire software source code, because they allegedly stole the source code from you first. You just as much of a crook as them. So what you need to do is you need to repent to the Lord and say, Lord Jesus, I'm sorry for stealing from my employer, even though they did. In other words, you don't do evil for evil. No, if someone does you evil, you do nothing. It is the Lord's job to get revenge, not you. So you are wrong for seeking revenge, number 1. Number 2, you are wrong for stealing your employer's entire software source code. What you need to do is just to move on. You need to move on and start your own side hustle online. If you specialize in technology and source code, you can build your business by starting a blog, starting an online forum. There's plenty of tech junkies on the internet that will help you build your business. Why? Don't dwell on what your employer did to you. That's going to keep you like this. You're going to always be dwelling on that, and it's going to hinder you from moving forward. Start your own business. Repent to the Lord and just say, Lord Jesus, I'm sorry. Please forgive me for stealing from my employer. Despite that you feel your employer stole from you, you don't go back and steal from them. We're all, I mean, I've stole stuff in the past. Me too. And I'm speaking from experience. Yes, I've stole stuff before, and I repented to the Lord for it. So this is why I'm telling you. Everybody got something. Today's people, everybody in today's world has done something wrong. That includes me. When you do something wrong, you ask the Lord to forgive you, but you don't do evil for evil. All right? If the employer harassed you, if you're still on a job, document your employer, start a blog. The sweetest revenge is starting your own business and being respectful to your employer. I know it's a bitter pill to swallow. I've had to respect an employer despite that they harassed me. I had to do it. I'm telling you from experience, you still have to respect them. Even if they fire you, do not walk out that door disrespecting them. Do not harass them. Don't threaten them. Because number 1, it's a reflection on your character. Number 2, you don't want to disrespect or threaten anybody on the way out the door. That's handing your power over to them and letting them know you got the best of me by firing me. You don't never let no employer know that. When I got wrongfully terminated because of at a bank working 3rd shift, the lady from the temp agency emailed me and asked me to call her. She let me know in so many words, oh, I don't have good news today. Your assignment's ended. I already knew it was ending because I had claimed religion on the job, and her false excuse was alleged false excuse was low numbers, low productivity, or low numbers. You know, she let me know that you don't have a job with us anymore. Is there anything else that you want to say, or anything you want to say about it? In so many words, she said. I said, nope, thanks for the opportunity. Let your words be few on the way out the door. You may be angry, but don't let them know. All right. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for having me here today and for watching my video. This is now going on 1 hour and 10 minutes. I am completely humbled that this camera is still going. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. This is the second time that I have made a YouTube video in which the camera has recorded successfully over 1 hour. So the lesson learned is, if you want your GoPro camera to record over 1 hour, you have to have it outside so the camera can breathe, and when the camera gets warm, the outside air can keep the camera somewhat cool. But being that the battery is getting low, I'm going to go ahead and shut it off now. Thank you again so much, everyone, for watching this video. Hopefully this video gave you something to think about in terms of using workplace harassment, in terms of using all types of negativity and the unforeseen curveballs that life throws at you to start a side hustle. A lot of successful people today have started $1 million side hustles based off of their worst life experiences. And because things don't work out for you in the workplace, it doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. The same thing goes in personal relationships. If you get dumped, and if the person dumping you takes you out to dinner and tells you not only are they paying for your meal before they dump you, but they're letting you know that I'm in love with someone else, I'm going back to the past, you let that person go back to the past. You let that person pay for the meal. Since they insist on paying for your meal, you let them pay for it. You let them go back to the past, and you do sayonara. If that person tells you, I'll be back later, we'll get back together someday, you tell that person, you keep it moving. I don't do X's. And you start a business off of that rejection. And when you become a side hustle millionaire, that person can never contact you ever again in life. They can't say nothing. They can't come back and say, I got organized. Without further delay, I finally got organized. Too late. Keep it moving. Let your negativity be your biggest motivation for starting a $1 million side hustle. This is Sean with Side Hustle Inspiration, where I inspire good working class people to change the history of the human thought process and going from employee to entrepreneur by enduring the worst. Thank you for watching. Take care, and God bless you. Peace.